Hi, my name's Chelsea, and I want to make this video to talk about my journey with aplastic anemia and my bone marrow transplant. I'm mainly making this because when I was going through mine, I couldn't find a ton of us out there because this disease is so rare. It's 1 in a million. And I was looking for support and I was looking for answers. I was very uncertain. I actually went on antidepressants beforehand because I was just so worried about the outcome and what it was going to be. I just had no idea. So my journey is a little bit different maybe than most. So I wouldn't use my story as an exact comparison, or I'm not saying that these things will exactly happen to you. I'm more trying to make this to offer hope because at the end of the day, I'm still here. So yeah, so when I was 16, I was diagnosed with aplastic anemia, and I went through what's called immunosuppressive therapy. So it's serum, it's called ATG, that's given to you, as well as steroids called prednisone, and something that suppresses your own immune system, which is called cyclosporin, are the pills. Those of you who are taking those already or are still taking them, you know they suck. They're huge pills and they smell gross. So I feel your pain taking those. Ultimately, what this was trying to do was suppress my immune system enough that it would want to restart itself. It would want to kick back up. So that treatment did work. A lot of side effects, but I won't go into those because if I did, I would be here all day. But it did eventually work, and it worked for 5 years. I was able to make blood on my own. And then 5 years later, it came back. My anemia came back. I'll just mention that I did have severe aplastic anemia. So this could be a reason why it was not a permanent change for me. But we knew at that point that my only other option was a bone marrow transplant. I did have that option when I was 16, but they decided to go with the other treatment instead. So yes, so 5 years later, decided to get a bone marrow transplant, or had to. Between this time, I would be getting a lot of blood transfusions just because my body was not making blood again. So about every 3 weeks, I would really be feeling low, and I would need to get more blood. So PSA to donate blood as well. Yes, so for my transplant, my brother was a match. My only brother, he's 2 years younger than me. And the process of this was actually a lot better than I thought. From everything I had been through when I was 16, I was very scared that it would be worse, but it was actually 100 times better than what I would have thought. So I was in the hospital a total of 34 days. So what they do is they prepare your body for the transplant. So they do this with chemo. It's called MTX. So it was given kind of 3 times and then a time after the transplant. They also give you more steroids. Just a tip is to really double check how much steroids they're giving you, because it did cause, back when I was 16, it did cause my hip bone. It causes bone damage. So when you're going through a bone marrow transplant, try, even though it's super hard, get out of bed at least once a day, go on the bike, anything, walk around. I had a little circle I could walk around, and I had my two big poles, and it was not a big area, but I needed to do that so that no more bone loss would occur. So they prepare your body. The transplant is like a regular transfusion. It's super easy. I was awake the whole time. The only difference is the marrow cells that they got from my brother. It's in a small little bag, and it's marrow cells instead of just regular blood. So they take it from the marrow, and that's why it's called a bone marrow transplant. The main fear I had was GVHD, which stands for graft versus host disease. I specifically remember a doctor coming into my room and saying, "You will for sure get GVHD. It's just a matter of what kind of type you will get. So more types are more serious than others." I think still to this day, I still have some in my mouth. It's just like a white kind of line, but it doesn't affect me at all. But I pretty much didn't get any, so he kind of freaked me out for nothing. My other big fear was the chemo. I was scared of being very nauseous, and I was not at all. I was only nauseous from the liquid morphine. If they give you too much, you can get nauseous from that. So my big tip would be shave your head right away. So my most pain came from just my hair and my head staying in. And the minute I shaved it, the pain was gone. So just the sheer weight of your hair being on your head after chemo, like of course it was starting to fall out. It didn't fall out until actually after the transplant, because it does take a while to kind of kick in. But I would say just shave your head right away, so then you won't even have to go through that pain. That was a big one for me. And then they did the transplant, and they wait for your body to start producing enough cells again, specifically neutrophils, because that's what's going to protect your body, the white cells. So they want you to be at a place where you can fight off some kind of infection when they release you from the hospital. After that, I did continue to take cyclosporin, but I pretty much bounced back really quickly. I couldn't wait to go home after my transplant, but of course they had to wait for my counts to go back up. But after that, I went back to university, and here I am today. So I'm sure I left out some things. So if you do have questions, please leave them below. This is the first YouTube video I'm making, but I thought I should do it because I had so many questions, and I just want to be that for someone else. So, bye guys.